Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final episode of Life Through the Lens. Tonight, woohoo! Tonight is our final episode. We'll be talking more about what we're doing and why we're doing it in the second hour of our show. But the first hour, we want to be, well, we're welcoming Annette Biggers, who will introduce herself in a moment, who is probably one of the most inspiring artists, photographers, humanitarians, humans that you will be likely to meet in the near future or the future, let me tell you. She's fantastic, and we're so excited to have her here tonight. We wanted this show to be all of what we ever intended this show to be tonight. So we're really honored that Annette is here and bringing her message and her projects and her art to us, because I think you're all going to walk away going, dang, that was amazing. And we're hoping that you get to walk away with some gems for your life and for your art and your career and whatever it is, whatever your endeavors are. So without further ado, we are going to dive in to our fantastic first hour. The second hour is the party. So don't go away at the end of the first hour. But to kick it off, we're going to, start. I think we'll start over here well, I don't know if it's your right, but it's my left. Anna Nguyen is going to begin this final evening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Nguyen. I'm a photographer based out of Naples, Florida. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm sad. I'm happy. I'm so glad you guys came on this journey with us this long. And without further ado, you can find me on Google Plus or at zanna.com.
Awesome. Miss Annette Biggers.
Hi, everybody. I'm Annette, and so delighted to be here. And Karen, you just make me blush, but I'm not going to say anything else because I get an hour. So, so good to be here.
It still won't be enough, but
no, we really kind of need a day or a week. Right. Let's do it. Let's do a month-long retreat in Florence.
Oh, that sounds right up my alley right now.
love that.
And I'm Karen Hutton, your happy host this evening, who is also happy and sad and excited and just so many things. I just don't even really know how to put it all together. So I'm here on Google+. I'm at KarenHuttonPhotography.com, KarenHutton.com, LilGalleries.com. I'm all over the place. And really, really excited for what we have for you this evening. So carry on, Kelly.
Hello. I am just so happy to be able to, get all dressed up and whatnot. I got to wear this more than once. Yay! I am so happy to be part of this party tonight, and it really is a party because it's been a wild ride this last year, and it's just been so wonderful, and you just can't do anything but celebrate it. And yeah, that. And you can find me on Google Plus and also at kellyseegerkim.smugmug.com.
Fantastic. Carrie Murphy.
Ooh, I got a song. Hey everybody, I'm Carrie Murphy, and I purposefully left my tissues way over there. So stop it. We're not happy. We're not proud. Stop it. No, I'm also very happy to be here. I can't even believe that it's been about a year. That's just crazy. And thank you all so much for sticking with us and watching the show and stuff. And I'm ready to dive into this first hour.
Yippee. Ron Clifford.
Hey, boy, oh boy. Talk about mixed emotions, eh? How do you prepare for this night? Wow. It's been a ride. This has just been one of the most fantastic experiences I've had. And I'm really looking forward to tonight and talking to Annette some more and sharing her with the Google world. Whoever doesn't have her circled will have her circled after tonight. You can find me at ronclifford.com, and you can engage with me live and in person right here on Google+.
Yay! Tamra Prisoner. I don't know why I'm singing. I know.
Yeah. Nice. I like this.
You always sing. It's good. Expected. It's required.
Required. Tamra.
I'm Tamara Prisoner, and yeah, like everybody else said, wow, almost a year. You can find me at throughtamseyes.com. I did redo the whole thing. I even added a smug mug shop. Yay!
Yay! Right on!
Because smug mug rocks. I just have to say that. They really rock. Yep.
Me too.
And you can, of course, find me at Google+.
Yay.
I love that because all year we've been hearing, you know, it's really desperately needs to be updated, and now we hear
it's updated.
Yeah.
It's updated. Like,
the perfect timing.
And I have to tell you, I use Daniel Treadwell's WordPress plugin, so I tag my posts on G+ with a hashtag, and it automatically goes and updates my blog now. Oh yeah, Daniel Treadwell rocks.
Oh, I'm gonna have to see that.
I'm typing that in right now.
I know, I'm writing that down.
That's perfect.
Daniel Treadwell, and I found him because Colby Brown and I used to actually hang out more, not so much now, but he's the one who introduced us, and Daniel is awesome.
Perfect. Tamara, will you post that info in the public chat for everyone?
Daniel Treadwell stuff?
Yeah.
Yes, I will go find it and post it for everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I want it.
Awesome. Yeah, I want it. I want it. That's terrific. That's just terrific. That's fabulous, Anna. Thank you for sharing that. Tana Teal, you are last but far from least.
I love it, even though I don't sound like you. But I pretend in the mirror sometimes. I mean, just
with a hairbrush?
singing in the hairbrush.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And not that
Hey,
I've ever done that. But,
You know me is to love me. What can I say? So, yeah, this is wow, what a year, what a group to be a part of. It's just fantastic, and it's gonna get pretty emotional. So you better go get something to drink. Be ready for this party because you're gonna need it. I can tell you that right now. So welcome. Oh, I guess you can find me here on Google and tanateal.smugmug.com if you want to buy print. Appreciate it. Need a new computer, so you know that's always helpful.
Excellent.
And Tana Teal Photography if you want to see. I just kind of put a little of everything everywhere, so you never know what you'll find. But go look and see.
She is ready to go.
she's on fire.
Right?
She's smoking.
Smoking.
All righty. Now, that's our final introductions. I'm not sure what I think about that, but
Those are awesome.
yeah. So Annette Biggers, we're back to you.
Yes.
I just thank you again for joining us tonight. I mean, seriously, just amazing, amazing. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. I am very, very glad. So we have somebody new in our midst. I'm not quite sure how that happened.
It's a party, right?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. You know, hangouts are not a perfect science, and we occasionally have moments like it, and then they end just like that.
That's kind of like walking in on somebody in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know it was taken.
Sorry, wrong hangout. I realized that busy sign meant something.
Yeah. So Annette, you are an amazing, amazing wedding photographer. That's the part of photography that is your profession. But and people can find you at triplecore.com, right?
Yes.
Just it's right there in your lower third. We know that. So, but tell us, this is the part that I find so fascinating. You were not always a photographer, and photography is not like the thing to end all things for you either. How did it all begin? Tell us, kind of give us the sketch, as it were.
Well, I went to college to be an architectural technology, or an architect. My major was architectural technology, and through that I built a very extensive art portfolio. I also attended the Indianapolis Art Institute for a few semesters on my own. And then we moved out here to California about 20 years ago, and I was just looking for a job, and I happened to fall upon one at a really amazing studio, and applied for a job, and just took in my art portfolio. All of the photographers that had worked there before had Brooks Institute degrees. There's our friend again. But anyways, He's on. That's weird. Okay, should I just keep going?
Keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, so I'm trying not to look at him and just kind of pretend he's not there. Anyways,
I know. It's like it's the first time that's ever happened.
okay, but anyways, I'll try to continue with that. Oof, weird.
It is strange. Anyway, yes, continue on. So you
Okay.
you were at school and
Anyways, I went into Images by Dwayne in Lake Forest, California, and he ended up hiring me because he felt like I could do a good job if he could, or become a good photographer if he could teach me how to see light. That's what he said. He said, if I can teach you how to see light, then I can make you into a great photographer. And so.
And what did you think when he said that? I mean, like, you already saw light. Everybody can see light, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought. I thought, well, I already see light, you know, like, this is really weird. I'm sorry, because all I'm seeing is him.
Okay.
Or that thing. I don't know if you guys can get rid of that on the screen.
I don't think we can. I don't know.
When I'm talking, all I see is that.
Now, Annette, you can see our private chat, right?
Yes, and I can see you when you talk, but when I'm talking, I see him.
Okay.
In the recording, it's all you.
Okay. And in our private chat, you can see our notes too.
Okay. Anyway, so I'm wondering if I could put.
Yeah, just highlight one of us with the blue box and then talk to
Yeah. You can highlight yourself too. Highlight yourself or any one of us with the blue box.
Yep.
Anyway, so he ended up hiring me, and I learned through being an assistant for about 7 years. Kind of.
Okay, so explain to her how to block.
I think
do you mind?
do that.
I just
hover over the person's icon and you'll see a microphone and a block symbol. Just click the block symbol. That was mute. Click the other one. That's a block.
This is live programming, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Seeing it right
No
here.
better
How's it
time.
happening?
Chaos!
That's right.
It's perfect for
Right?
the ending show.
Okay. I
I
think
know.
so.
like,
I'd love to
listen,
have-
don't try to break into our hangouts.
Yeah, a final show is all about firsts.
I think it's
Is
probably.
it?
Never
This
happened.
is a
problem.
first, isn't it? So Karen, you don't have the ability to kick as the starter
I
of the
know.
I thought you did.
I would have thought I did too.
It's new. It should be
You're
there.
right, I just did. Okay,
Okay.
got it.
Okay.
Hopefully that little thing goes away.
There.
There.
Get on with
Who
it.
knew?
To do this,
That's
Thank you.
weird how that popped up, though.
Karen, this will keep
Yes.
happening if we don't invite someone we know in. So maybe we should get someone in there.
You should get 2 people, so then it'll block out the whole 10.
Why does that happen? What's never happened before? Is that new?
Right.
I
That
don't know.
this shouldn't have happened.
It's not a limited.
Oh, it's
I
not a limited hangout.
Yeah.
Let me do this.
Annette, you were completely, I totally agree with you when you said that if you are taught to see light, you become a much better, you don't have to, I always tell everyone I know, it's like you need to learn how to see light to be able to light better.
Yeah.
Well, it's more than that, though. I mean, the whole thing is that, so Annette, where that started began a whole journey for you. It didn't just end with setting up lights and lighting somebody better.
Right. After I left the studio that day, I started thinking more about what he said, and I knew I was trying to kind of figure things out, like where I was going to go in life and that sort of thing. And I really didn't even know if I wanted to be a photographer, but I started thinking about what he said, and I thought, the last thing I want to do is take pictures of what people look like or document what they look like, because I just feel like that's kind of flat and boring and lifeless. And so I started thinking about that whole light thing, and I thought, what if I looked for light in people? And I started drawing out what's inside of a person, because I believe that in the spirit man of a person, everyone is full of light. And if you can take them back to the place where perhaps when they had a lot of light in their life, perhaps when they were a child, you can really get somebody to dream and come out of a mentality that blocks them from even getting good pictures. You know, a lot of people have walls of inhibition that keep you from photographing them very well, because it's very awkward. You know, if you've ever been photographed, it's an awkward thing. It's kind of like going to the dentist. You're letting someone into your private space.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so anyways, I wanted to develop a skill of helping people to feel comfortable with me, and to help them to celebrate during a photo session rather than perform, kind of celebrate who they were. And I started noticing that the pictures were coming to life, and there was a sparkle in their eye, and there was more of a sense of dream. I don't know how to explain it so much, but it seems like there was a third dimension added to my photography when I really started honing in on that concept.
And then, so what did you say to them to be able to connect with that? Like, how did you do that?
You know, I started speaking from my heart. I think that's the best way that I can describe it. When you speak from your heart, it helps somebody it breaks down walls of inhibition, and they feel comfortable letting you into theirs.
Yeah.
You know, you've probably heard that proverb, deep calls to deep. And I think that's the magic, if you want to say. That's the way that you can do that.
Wow.
But I have to say, if you are unfamiliar with your own heart, it's going to be a hard thing for you to pull that off with someone else.
Yes.
So it is something that it takes you know, a time on your own to discover who you are, and to really, you know, people that care and nurture their own hearts are usually nurturing to others. And that's why there's a psalm that says, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. And if you think of your heart like that, you'll treat others with the same care. But if you neglect your heart, it's most certain that you'll neglect other people's hearts and only see them at a superficial level, a very shallow level. And so I think that it really does take time and effort on our own part to get to the point where we know ourselves and we're nurturing of our hearts. I always say to people that whatever you don't value, you will violate. And my friend Rex taught me that, and he showed me that, the truth of that. And I think that if you don't value the real people that you're dealing with, if you don't value the true person that's behind the mask that they might be wearing, then you'll violate it or you'll miss it. And so it does take a searching and a wanting to know to get through there, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And I mean, you've often said that's like when people ask you for advice, that's like, as a photographer, that's like the first piece of advice you actually give them. At least that was the impression that I had from when we talked about that before. Because above all, you can learn all the techniques in the world, but if you don't have that, then, yeah.
I don't know if you've all seen, you know, you've kind of probably gone on people's blogs before, and you're trying to get inspired, and I've noticed that a lot of photographers have the techniques down. They know how to make a good photograph, because you can get on Google and Google good lighting tips. You can get this kind of knowledge in a day. You can just read a great blog on lighting and learn it in a day, and then go out and practice it, and that skill just comes quickly if you're a fast learner. But anyways, when I visit people's blogs, a lot of times I see the same picture just with different people in it. And they are just taking pictures of people's skin. They're documenting what someone looks like. They're putting them perhaps in a great pose. They've got perfect lighting, but it is flat. There's not a oomph about it, like, whoa, you know? And I think that if you challenge yourself to go that extra step, what we were just talking about before, then your pictures will start to come to life, because there's going to be life on the person's face. They're going to glow, and they're going to be freed up to do things. They're going to do a lot of childlike things that they used to do as a child, just because they feel comfortable with you and safe with you. And so that's the one skill that I work most on for my photography career.
But don't you feel, though, that that's probably a reflection of the way you treat everyone, not just clients? I
was just going to say that.
Oh, sorry, Kelly.
Right? No, that's so good.
I grabbed it out of the air, because awesome. I mean, we've had a chance to get to know each other a little better, and I can certainly attest to that, is you really draw out of people their very best just because you invest in them. And so it's not really a question, just an observation that I would assume that this is how you treat everyone, not just your clients. But I do have a question, and that is, do you think that this can be taught? Is this something, because when I was younger, I didn't do a lot of portraits when I was younger because I had no connection to people. It wasn't until I was older and that I developed more of what you're talking about that I began to get a connection with people, and I began to see them. So do you think this can be taught?
I do, Ron. I do think that it can be taught. And you know, the way I look at it is this, that philosophy is the way that we approach life. And if we don't have a philosophy in life, then we have fragmented truth. We have lots of truth, but it's not knit together to make a way that you approach life. And so the very best thing that anyone can do is to find a teacher or a mentor that can take all of the truth that you've found out in your life and knit it together so that it becomes a philosophy and a way that you look at life and the way that you approach life, the way that you look at people and approach them becomes the key to winning their heart and their trust. You know what I'm saying? I do.
I was going to say that a number of years ago, Lance Armstrong, the cyclist, wrote a book. A lot of people don't know that, but he wrote a book, and the title of the book was called "It's Not About the Bike." Yeah. And I read that book because when I saw the title, I thought, you've got to be kidding me. How could a guy that's won, at that time, maybe 3 or 4 Tour de France's, write a book about cycling that the title is "It's Not About the Bike"? Yeah. But you have that same attitude about your camera. Yeah. It's not about the camera. Like you said in the past, you could set your camera down. It's just a tool for you, really, isn't it?
Ron, I also read that book, and in there, Lance Armstrong talks about the power of belief. And he doesn't have a set, he doesn't have like a religion, or he doesn't really have a belief system, he says. But he realized when he was in the hospital, almost dying of cancer, he realized the power of belief in his hospital room. He goes, I don't know what it is, but there's something about it. There's an energy force behind belief that caused healing to start happening in my body. It wasn't because of radiation. Radiation doesn't cause healing. He felt a healing power go through his body. And he talks about this in that book. I don't know if you remember that, Ron, but it's kind of a fascinating part of that book. But I loved that book too, and I really I identified with that it's not about the camera, it's not about your techniques. Sure, those things are great and they do help, but you know, there's a lot of people with great cameras and techniques these days. Yeah.
You know, Annette, speaking of, you know, connecting and relating to the book, I totally relate to how your philosophy is, simply because I started out shooting people because I seek that connection. I seek to be friends and have a relationship with whoever was in front of my camera. I just never knew how to put into words what you so put into words in the short 24 minutes of the show. And I think that's amazing because, you know, you seek to see the light in people. So I'm assuming that a lot of your subjects are now really good friends of yours or have stayed in contact with you throughout the years. Still, to this day, talk to you.
Yeah, they are. They become really close friends. Most of them do. Um, and it's such a privilege to get to know people on that level. And it really does take people by surprise because sometimes they don't realize that they've been living in the dark for so long and that they've not been celebrating life, that they've just been doing what they should be doing rather than what they wanted to do with their life. And so it's great to see people when the light turns back on, you know, and they get to revisit their childhood a little bit and play again and feel fully alive. You know, I can remember one time when I was suffering from a childhood trauma, and I went to counseling, and she brought this out to the surface, and she helped me totally break free from this childhood trauma that I had experienced. And I didn't realize how suffocated I was until I had received that healing. And so I think that's what happens in a lot of people's lives when they meet someone that truly cares about their heart and their spirit, rather than their skin and what they look like and, you know, all the material things that we look at. It really does cause life in a person. And it's great to see sometimes that unfold right before your eyes if you stay friends with your clients like that. But
yeah.
Well, that brings us to another piece of it, because you're talking about your clients and your wedding photography and such, and I'm sounding distracted because I'm pulling up another screen share that I want to do. I shared some of your photos while you were talking so people could see, you know, your work stuff and just how amazing it is, and I'll come back to that. But I also want to show you all fairy tales.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yay!
And
So
that
wait,
if
let me
you click
put it.
on Karen's screen, our little icon, that way when you're talking about it, we still all see the
yeah.
image.
And I have put it on. Oops. Hang on to the edge of my thing here. Here we go.
You know, Annette, you stress play a lot, and it resonates with a few of our past guests who have stressed play in a lot of, like just to enjoy life. And if you enjoy life, you enjoy what you do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us then.
That one actually looked like the prince from Once Upon a Time.
I know.
Like, wait a minute, do you know him?
Actually, I have to tell you guys about that photo shoot. The famous Dave Bell was there with me from Google Plus, and he was helping me with the lighting, and his wife as well, Susan. And that boy, or the guy in that picture, that is John Hall. He's from the TV show Glee. He was one of the warblers.
Oh, okay.
That's his wife, Sherelle. They just got married in July. I did photograph the wedding. This was actually done in February. And it was done at the Castello di Amorosa. It's in Napa. It's a winery that's an actual castle. And this particular photo shoot will be featured in Model Weddings magazine, and they'll also be on the cover of the magazine. It's coming out in November.
Wow, excellent.
So awesome.
So
Wow.
yeah, I love this. So what is it? What is it? Do you think? I mean, you have thoughts exactly about what it is about fairy tale, about all of this that's so special to your heart and that is so important, and that's so important, in fact, that brides actually hire you to do their wedding based on your fairy tale work.
Yeah, most people hire me because we have another stalker.
You do?
Yes, they do hire me. A lot of brides hire me because of the fairy tale imagery. One of my brides said, you know what, Annette, if you can take pictures and tell a story, then you can capture one too. And so it is one of those things that as a wedding photographer or even a portrait photographer, if you do step out of your, just kind of do stuff like this, some fun stuff like this, you'll start to capture the notice and attention of other people that you wouldn't think you would. So, and that's not why I did it, but it just worked that way.
It helps so much with the creativity when you shoot with people so much too, you know, to go do something different like that. It helps refresh what you do with the weddings and normal things as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So there's another story related to all of this that Fairy Tales leads into, and that is your trip to Africa and how this relates to that.
Yeah. Do you have those pictures, Karen?
I do.
Okay.
Let me.
We went to Africa. Gosh, I'm thinking 6 or 7 years ago, and oh, that's my husband, by the way.
Yeah, I love this. I wanted to show this first.
Because
I love that.
he laughs
so sweet.
times a day, and so he's. You guys would have had him on the show if you knew him, because he's way funnier and way
What? No. I think you both should have been on the show. You both you get there's so much emotion just these two photos alone.
Oh. Well, he's my partner to Africa and in the home too. But anyways, that's Moses. I'm going to start off right here. That's little Moses, and when we went to this orphanage in Africa, this is how we found the kids. Moses here is 4 years old, and he is the size of a 10-month-old. And when I walked in the first time and I saw these kids, I was shocked because they acted like stuffed animals. They could not smile. You could not make these kids smile. They just had no life in them. And so it struck me as so hard in my heart. And I went home, and the very first time we went there, I went home and just cried my eyes out. This is actually the second time we went right here. And if you go to the next picture, that's little Boniface on the far left in the pink shirt. A lot of times the boys wear girls' clothes because that's all they have. But Boniface is also 4 years old, and he's the size of a 10-month-old baby, and I think he may weigh less than a 10-month-old baby. But he cannot walk here. He cannot. He really can't do anything. He can lean up against the wall and stand, but walking just wasn't something. He suffered from AIDS and rickets. And the next picture, I think you'll see him leaning up against a wall. Yeah, that's him.
Oh.
And he's just precious as anything. Anyways, my friend Rex Crane went to Africa with us. And he's a motivational speaker and has many, many gifts and talents. But anyways, he took Boniface and he picked him up in his lap and he said, "Boniface, God has different plans for your life." And I remember thinking, wow, he is bold to say that to this little boy because he's living in a hopeless situation.
Right.
And it's almost like giving a child a false hope in a way. But my friend Rex stayed with these kids for the next 3 days. We had planned a royal birthday party. We called it royal because we were going to dress them up like superheroes and princes and princesses. And we were going to buy them also a house. So we didn't know that, but we did. Anyways, and we were just going to...
They blocked that guy, eh?
Soccer. Anyways, so the next few days, if you go to the next picture, Karen.
Hold on a second. That's Thomas Hawk. I won't actually eject him. We'll let him stay.
Oh, that's precious.
Well,
hey, ladies.
Hey, Thomas.
How's it going?
Good.
Good. Hey, I just saw an invitation, so I thought I'd seize on the opportunity and jump in to tell you guys how much I've enjoyed your show.
Well, that's awesome. We can't quite figure out why the invitation went out this early. It's not supposed to. We've been having people drop in. In your case, awesome.
I know, random. Right. I couldn't.
Oh no, he's on wireless.
Anyways, that's Boniface again, and for the next few days we would feed the kids, and we gave them their first showers they've ever had. They never had running water, never brushed their teeth, and after about 3 days they all just would at first, when we first gave them their first shower, they would cry. They did not like it. And then after the first few times, they were like, do we get to take a shower tonight? And they wanted to brush their teeth. They brushed their teeth for like 30 minutes without stopping. They loved and then on that third day, go to the next picture because I think something happened before that. Yeah, this is Rex, my friend, and that's Boniface. He's holding him. And he was teaching in a church that day. And the people in Africa, they think that the orphans are the bottom of the scum bucket. They don't even want to touch an orphan because they feel like the orphan has a curse in their life. So touching them, holding them was just not something they did. They're very paranoid like people. So Rex picks him up in his arms like that. He preaches a whole sermon with Boniface in his arms, and Boniface falls asleep on his shoulder. It is so amazing and dramatic. So then the next picture, I think we're at the, this is outside the front of the church. He woke up after Rex was done. We were playing bubbles and stuff with all the orphans. And then the next picture, this is the third day. And we dressed him up like Superman, and Rex is on the floor there just playing with him. He was so committed to speaking life into this little boy. And he just played with him and held him every chance he got and spoke over his life, just amazing things. And then the next picture you'll see, he's actually at the party trying to That's so great. Oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, I'm going to start crying right now.
Oh my goodness.
And then the next picture is at church on the fifth day that we were there. He was running up and down the aisles, chewing this big piece of gum, and he's got this little Bible in his hand, and he's waving it back and forth, and he's like preaching his own sermon. But you can see the people in the background, they're all smiling and laughing, but the people of the church, they couldn't believe it. They were like, is that Boniface, the orphan? You know, they've never seen this boy run or walk, let alone run. And not only that, I don't know if you remember how emaciated he looked just 3 days before this, or actually this is 5 days after we first saw him. And then the next picture, he has become Rex's best friend, and that's
look at that face.
Rex was preaching another sermon, and he decides, I'm going to preach with you. So anyway, so then the next picture is 1 year later. We go back. That's him, and he has grown to the size of a 5-year-old there. And that's the cutest thing. And he's actually in the new home that we bought for them. And the next picture shows all of us outside of the home on our first trip there.
Oh my goodness.
And that's probably at a gated community. They live in a gated community, and they're all just so happy. When we took a tour of the home, they went up into the bathroom and they saw the bathtub, and they were so confused. They started laughing. They thought it was a trash receptacle. They had never seen a bathtub before. And so when we told them, this is where you get to take your showers and baths, and they just started laughing so hard. I have a picture of it, but I didn't upload it for Karen. But it was the most amazing trip ever. But anyways, that trip taught me so much about the power of speaking life over others. And it just dramatically changed Boniface and Moses' life, both of those little boys. And all of the kids in the orphanage, they were smiling and they couldn't laugh enough by the time we left. And it continued. I kept getting emails from the lady that runs the orphanage over there. We kept getting emails saying, this is the land of smiles, and they still have not stopped laughing, and they're so happy just because their basic needs are being taken care of. But when I got home from that trip, I realized that speaking life over people, engaging them in a conversation with God. I mean, that's what I call it, because when you speak life over someone, that's what God does. He speaks life over us. But anyways, it changes people's lives. And so that's why I started the fairy tales series, is I wanted to get people dreaming again and playing again and enjoying life, and watch them come to life. You know, if it can have such a dramatic effect on little kids that have nothing and are hopeless, what about people that live in America that, you know, it looks like everything's okay in their life? Their mask looks perfect. You know, they say all the right words. They have all the right things, and you know, they look happy, right? But underneath, they're suffering. And it's so awesome to be able to see a person heal, you know, and get them to be young again. Because I believe, don't you all feel, I don't know how old all of you are, but don't you feel like you're still 18? I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
I know I don't look it, but
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that would
That
be a
is-
hearted yes.
No comment.
Shut up.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
She's too close to 18 to count, but the rest of us, we still feel 18.
Hey, I still act like I'm 12 sometimes, so it's all good.
No comment.
Me too.
That is just
What a fantastic thing to be able to do something in a tangible way that affects somebody around the world. Like our world, it's such a, like we think it's so big, but really it's so small. And part of what this platform does is makes it even smaller. It connects all of us together. Like none of us have met on, well, some of us have now, but none of us met on the street except for Kelly and Tana. They were the only two that knew each other prior to this online experiment gone amok. But to be able to reach out in a tangible way across oceans or borders and to see how that, it's just, I'm speechless over what an effect that has on a person, and not just for the time that you visit or the time that you're working there, but long term.
Forever. Life changing.
Yep.
and so you
it stays with you, and you can't, you know, it never dies down. It stays with you, you know. It gives you, when you have a really strong purpose like that, it propels you forward. And the excitement from that has not died down in my life. It's just as strong today as it was when it first happened. I have a lot of people in my life that keep me motivated, but
you started, I mean, as a result of your visit and buying the home there and everything, you have a foundation. I noticed it on the bottom of the photograph, Heart for Africa.
yes.
Is it? So if someone wants to find out more, they can go to...
It's heart, the number 4, Africa.org.
to find out more about the foundation and maybe how they can contribute or send a message or what have you. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Go and visit. A lot of our sponsors actually go there and visit the kids at the home, and they have a brother-sister type relationship or aunt-uncle relationship. One of the most wonderful things that a little girl said to me from our home, Clarice is her name, and she said to me, she goes, I can't believe that somebody who doesn't know me loves me enough to pay for my food and my clothes and my school. And she goes, the people that know me don't even do that. And she just said that it just was like so life transforming to think. I mean, she didn't say it that way because she was young, but she couldn't believe it. She was like looking at me with disbelief in her eyes. You mean somebody that's never met me wants to give me the stuff that I need? And
Imagine that.
yeah, it really, it gives them such hope to think that there's a stranger that actually loves them more than their own people.
So can I ask you, your organization, is the goal to possibly find homes, permanent homes for these children, even outside of Africa, or is it more just to establish them and give them roots where they are? And
well, we want that more than anything. It's very unlikely to happen in Kenya. Kenyans need a mentality shift before that happens. They've got to start looking at their orphans as valuable. And to get them to America is nearly impossible. You have to go visit for 6 months to have one of their kids come over here because they don't want to put the kids in danger of slavery, you know, bringing them over for sex trafficking or whatever. So what we're trying to do best is to give them a mentality that they're not an orphan, that they are the next leader, that they are the next president, that it doesn't matter their circumstances or their background, that they are somebody special and that they can go forward in life with a new identity, the identity that they are known, they are seen, and they are loved. And just operating from those three things makes them just beyond most of their peers at their level. Most of the orphanages at our home are in the top of their class. Dennis is #1 student at a private school. And so, you know, it's really all about shifting their mentality off of their circumstances and onto
Right.
who they are, and to value themselves, who they are. So, and it works.
That's amazing.
It
You
truly
know,
is.
it is amazing what you're doing for these children, because even some of the same basic concepts they teach that in child development, to raise a child to be, you know, not feel inferior to other people. And it's unfortunate that the Kenyans, like, you know, treat their orphans so badly, because the orphans, it's not their fault that their parents passed away.
Right.
You know, but it's so empowering to hear that, you know, you and a lot of other people are banding together to give these children, you know, the self-esteem boost that they don't have parents to do for them.
Right.
Exactly. You have said that there was a the thing that you talk about was speaking over someone. Is that the right way to say it?
Yes.
That how it can utterly transform a person. There was a book that you read that kind of started you down that path to begin with. Do you want to tell them about that?
Yes, I highly recommend it to everyone. It's Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. It's 1,400 pages long, but the first 100 pages is all you'll need to totally transform your life. But you'll be so stuck after the first 50 pages, you'll never want to stop reading it. But it is the story of Valjean, who's a convict, went to jail because he stole a loaf of bread. And he's not a bad man, but he was hungry, his family was hungry, and he went to jail and he adopted this convict mentality because he had been just spoken down to so much by the inspector. His name is Javert. And when he gets out of jail, I think he escapes or gets out on parole, and he happens upon a priest. And he is still a thief in his mind, so he escapes the priest's house with some of his silver. And the inspector, the police find him and bring him back to the police, hoping that they can put him back in jail forever. And the priest goes, "Oh, no, I know this man. I gave that silver to him, and he forgot to take these silver candlesticks." And that act of mercy and that act of forgiveness, it empowered Valjean so much that he, later in the story, he becomes the mayor of the city. And that book really changed my life and how I looked at sinners, people in the world, and how we can make a lasting change in people's lives just by telling them or by extending mercy to them and extending forgiveness to them, and start speaking confidence into them and hope can change somebody's life. I know that it's a fairy tale, but it's truth, and truth is powerful. Anyways, yeah, it was a great book. I highly recommend it.
Annette, I was speaking of that attitude, they call it, I was reading on Psychology for Photographers. There was an article called The $200 Attitude. And it was about, if you treat people not with suspicion, but of faith and hope, that they will realize that, and they won't take you for granted. Like, for example, in the article, it said that there was this guy who was like a drug addict and down and out, and he wanted to borrow $20 from this guy, one of his friends. And his friend handed him $200 and said, take care of yourself. And come tomorrow morning and I'll give you a job. And the guy said, he literally admitted, he goes, if he would have given me $20 and a job offer, I would never showed up. I would just did, drugs or did whatever. But he gave me $200. He gave me the hope that he trusted me and that I was worth $200 to him. So I became one of his most loyal employees. And from that story, how the article went, what the blog post went, was that if you treat people with this type of attitude, this outlook, regardless if they're going to repay you or not, you can change the outlook of other people and how they perceive themselves, and then how it comes like a pay it forward kind of act.
Yeah. That leads me to think about, you mentioned the word, and it's very dear to Robin, who's in chat, and Tamara and I, is the word mentorship.
Yes.
The three of us do a mentorship program on Google Plus where we help photographers that have less experience to up their game a little bit. And I have a great deal of, I'm humbled that people trust me enough to put their experience into my hands. And I know we talked about that a little bit before. When you give somebody, like, mentorship's a really important thing. The whole pay it forward mentality is a really important thing. I think what I'm trying to drive at is the importance of really having respect for the person you're mentoring, really understanding that the level of trust they're giving you in guiding them through whatever, whether it's a photography program or if it's a life skills program or if it's a life mentor. I know you believe in mentorship yourself and the importance of mentorship in life. Did you want to share some of that?
Yeah. Well, if it weren't for my mentors, I would not be who I am. One of the most important things when, a lot of people say, well, how do you get a mentor? How do you find them? And, if you can't find one personally, then you have them in books for sure. And that's kind of how I started. And anyways, one of the most powerful mentors in my life is Rex Crane. And he has a program online. It's called therexnetwork.com. And you can be mentored by him online. The other one is my pastor, Mike Webb. He's the one that took all of that fragmented truth I was telling you about earlier and knit it together and helped me to approach life differently and to see life differently. And it was just powerful what he did for my life. I can't even thank him enough. But there are mentors everywhere. They're out there, and there are good ones. But I think what we were talking about the other day, Ron, is that when you find a mentor and when you're looking for one, your heart is delicate and it's breakable. And you want to find somebody that can hold your heart. You don't want to find a peer that's in the same boat as you. You want to find somebody that's strong and several steps ahead of you in life. Someone that's strong enough to hold your heart and guard it, and who's willing to guard it and give you a sword. You want someone that's willing to give you a sword, because there's a lot of enemies in life, and there's a lot of circumstances that beat us down. But one of the things that is really one of the best advices I ever got was from a photographer, Scott Lim, I think is his name. He said that if you want to find a mentor, make sure you invest in that mentor. Value your mentor, invest in them, show them that you value what they're giving you, and definitely make sure that the mentor is capable of, taking you further in life, and they're not there to, per se, tear you down to build you up. That's the wrong kind of mentor.
I think it's also worth noting that a mentor doesn't necessarily have to be a mentor in the same field as you are.
Right, yeah. My pastor doesn't do photographs, and neither does Rex. But you know what is really weird, you guys? Rex Crane and Mike Webb have made me a much better photographer. Much better. And it's just amazing how that works. But it is, it is about seeing differently. It's about being able to connect with people on a different level. And it's just so much more than, a camera and a photograph. But I have a lot to say about marketing. I love my, the way I've marketed my business.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about business techniques and that sort of thing. But the foundation is your heart. What you're putting in your heart, what you're living from. A lot of people are struggling and striving for victory, and when they realize that they can live from victory, that makes all the difference in the world. When they realize that they already have a position in God's eyes, they're cherished, they're loved, they're seen, they're fully known. I think that one of the deepest longings of the human heart is to be fully known and to know.
Yeah.
And you get that with God. He offers that to you. And when you come to that realization, you're actually operating in life from victory, from a position already of royalty. And a lot of people are walking around, they're kings, and they're walking around like fallen princes. And it's sad, I think that to restore that mentality of who you really are is so important.
Yeah.
As a mentor, that's my main objective or goal, is to get a person to realize who they really are.
Do you mentor people?
I do, more on a personal level. I do have workshops that people come to and that sort of thing. So different levels and different ways.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. You have a well, there's two things. You mentioned business and marketing, and I know people are always curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a few more minutes, and we can go over a little bit too, because I'm curious to know, and I think other people are curious to know what some of your tips or positions or what you have to say about business and marketing are.
Okay. I can give you my two favorite tips, and you're going to probably think, oh my gosh, that sounds really generic, but if you just do this, it'll get you started. 7 years ago, when we first started Triple Cord, all of us sat down together and we made a list of 20 goals for our first year of business. And the first 10 goals were achievable. The last 10 goals were not achievable. And they were going to take a supernatural act of God to accomplish in your first year of business. And by the end of that first year, we had accomplished all 20 goals. So, I think that dreaming outside of the box and just putting some things down that are outrageous will propel you forward. One of our goals was to be on television. We were on television. Another one was to be in a national magazine. We were in Grace Armand our very first year. We didn't even have to ask her to be in the magazine. She came to us. Can I please feature that wedding? I photographed a wedding in Africa. And that's so funny. All these. So crazy.
Yeah.
You know what? And that they love you. That's what they're trying to do.
Okay. But anyways, okay, so I'm trying to remember all of our goals. They were all impossible goals. I had also, I wanted to get a national recognition, and I had won a national award from Microsoft called Leave Your Notch, Make a Mark. And I literally was walking on the side of the street in Atlanta, Georgia, and they took me off the side of the street. They go, do you have a dream? You want to tell us about it? And they interviewed me on TV right there. And it was a national contest where they went to all these different cities, interviewing tons of people, trying to find the winner. And I won. And that happened. I mean, it was just like one of those things where, wow, did that really just happen? But, and that my marketing plan is, if you do something that is outrageous and outrageously significant, and this isn't why I did what I did, but if you have a life that is so full of purpose and is significant, the magazines will come and beg you to be in their magazines. Blogs will want to feature you. People will want to be around you. And that's the best way to market yourself. And that's not why you do it. But if you just start focusing on being and becoming more of who you want to be, who you desire to be, people will be attracted to that. There's an attraction to light. And so it's worked for us. I mean, we've been in every wedding magazine. I don't even see all the magazines we're in, and I a lot of times I don't ever see our featured stuff because there's just too many of them. And I've never really had to work for that. So
I can tell you from experience, when I was a couple of years back, when I was starting to look for websites and different business models that I would follow, I just kind of blindly went through the web, and your site and some of your work and what you were doing, and I didn't even know what you were doing at the time. I just saw triple chord, and then I saw some of the fairy tale stuff, and then I was just drawn into everything about triple chord. Was kind of a model for me right from the beginning before I even had a chance to know you, and it stood out amongst hundreds and hundreds of sites, and only 2 or 3 really stood out that way. Well, I can say 3 for sure, and they all had a very similar spirit, a very similar feel to them. It just had that feeling of life to me when I saw them, and so I saved them in a little folder that I could go and look at later when I start developing my own business plan and web presence. So yeah, it shows.
Yeah, the other thing is in business that I highly recommend is to have partners. You know, I believe that you should be friends with everybody, but partner with very few people, being very selective of who you partner with, because those people will, they have that, you know, my partners, when I'm feeling like I have no inspiration, they come along and they just like light my fire again, you know, so I really strongly recommend that. That's why we called it triple cord. A triple braided cord is not quickly broken. There were 3 of us that started a company, my son being one of them, and Annie White, and another guy, Andrew Opfer. He's no longer with us, but we started it all together, and we just started dreaming together. I was actually their mentor, and they were my favorite mentorees, and so I was like, why don't you help me start business?
Wow, that's so
amazing.
cool. That is so cool. Well, we are at the end of our first hour. We're going to have a second hour, and the second hour is going to be the wrap party, W-R-A-P, to be clear. And we've got more in store, but we're gonna wrap up this first hour. But first, or as a way to wrap up this first hour, Annette, as you have now probably seen, those of you who have been with us for this show, is you know, epitomizes everything that we wanted this show to be about, that we wanted to be and be about, and I just, again, thank you so much for coming and sharing your heart and your wisdom and your humanness with us, because this is the note we wanted to end on, and so we really, really appreciate it, Annette. And I have one more favor to ask of you. You have the most wonderful way to describe and define 3 words that I think we all just need to remember. They are hope, faith, and inspiration. And you even have an order that they go in your mind. Would you mind sharing that with everyone?
Yeah. Well, hope is first, I think. But without inspiration, I don't know if we can have hope. Inspiration is the immediate influence of God in your life.
Immediate, you said. You cut out for a second. Say it again.
Yeah, it's the immediate influence of God in your life. A lot of times, you know, we'll be inspired to do things, and we're like, where did that come from? Like, I know, I'll like, something will come in my mind, and I'm like, I didn't study for that. I didn't see it anywhere. It just came, you know. I'm like, where did that? It's the voice of God, you know. And a lot of, you know, I know a lot of people don't believe in God in that way, in a personal God. But that doesn't mean He doesn't exist, and it's okay if you don't believe. You don't have to be my friend. But anyways, Anyways, I operate on inspiration. Besides doing the dishes, literally everything that I do is an inspiration. It's come from inspiration. So, and then hope. Hope is like a dream that you have. It's like a vision that you have for your life. It's beyond your circumstances. It's what keeps our candle flickering. And it's like a dream, but faith is the action of that dream. It's that dream in action. It's putting what God put in you, that dream. It's putting it into action. It's like moving in the direction to accomplish it and to make it a reality. It begins in the spiritual realm. I think that that's where hope comes from. And then faith brings it into the physical realm and makes it a reality. I think that's what you were talking about, Karen.
Yeah, and yes, that is exactly. And you talked about it as being the positive expectation of the outcome.
Hope is it is a confident expectation of God's goodness.
Yeah.
It's expecting that God is for you, not against you, and that He's a father, not a master, a slave master, or a taskmaster. That's what a lot of religions teach. But it's the confident expectation of good or of God's goodness.
And even if you're not necessarily, believe in God or you're not sure, still the confident expectation of your highest outcome is still something we can all hold and, move forward with in our lives. And that is the message, the gift, I think, that this show, more than anything, has wanted to share.
That wasn't mine this time.
Oh, perfect.
So,
that's right.
To wrap up this final hour of this first hour of this final show, do y'all have something you want to say? And then we have more to say in the second hour. But do y'all want to say goodbye?
Yeah.
First off, Annette Biggers is amazing.
Isn't she?
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm completely in love.
Oh, Anna, I love you too.
Aww.
You're sweet.
And I cried the whole time. I will totally admit that. That is all.
Well, very good. Well, then we're going to wrap it up on that, and don't go away. Those of you in the chat, don't go away. We're going to restart the Hangout. I'm going to take a break. We're all going to take just a really short break and be right back with the second half and the after show. And we have a lot of guests who are going to come in and share some thoughts and visit. We don't know who all yet, but it's going to be a full house. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.